Hey, it's Dr. Karin. Did you know that guilt is one of the most corrosive emotions that you can carry? It serves little purpose besides causing pain and suffering, and yet so many people carry guilt around, and it causes so many problems for them, both physically and mentally. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to drop that guilt once and for all and move forward free and clear of what was weighing you down. Let's go. So we're going to talk about guilt in a way that has to do with the energy of guilt. And I'm going to be referencing David Hawkins' research. He spent about 30 years studying clients that were experiencing different emotions, and they came up with something called the scale of consciousness. The scale of consciousness measured every emotion from anger to fear to joy to enlightenment and put a number on it. During this research, they tested the biofeedback measures coming off of people's bodies, coming off of their energy systems. They did muscle testing on them. They put a lot of research into how different emotions affect the body. What they found is really incredible. So if you could guess which emotions were the lowest states of consciousness, would you guess that guilt and shame are the lowest? Because they are. Guilt and shame, so usually when we're feeling guilt or feeling shamed about ourselves, you're so contracted because you're looking backwards and you're feeling regretful about something that you did. It drops you to a point of a 20 or a 30 on the consciousness scale. Now that's compared to peace, which is a 600. Total enlightenment is over 700, 1,000. Joy and love, which is like a 500. You want to stay amplified at a really high vibration, a high frequency in your life, and that's what happens when you decide to become more conscious. And since you're here watching my video, I know that you want to be more conscious in your life. So looking at your state of consciousness is super important because it will help you to grow as a spiritual being. And what we're looking at today is guilt. So when you're dropping to guilt, you're also going to feel elements of shame. You're so contracted that your energy body literally drops to the level of 20 or 30 in the state of consciousness scale. In that state of consciousness, you are seriously contracted, like you can feel it in your gut. When you feel guilt or shame, you'll get a release of cortisol, a stress hormone, in your gut. You know, you actually have a second brain down here. You actually have brain cells in your gut, and you will get a shot of stress hormone. And what happens over time when you're getting this shot of stress hormone, it causes a fight or flight condition in the body. You've probably heard that. And what it does is it takes the reserves from your immune system and sends it to your limbs so you can flee the tiger. Well, when we're constantly shooting ourselves with cortisol and causing this fight or flight response, we are actually deactivating all of our other systems because all the energy is going to escaping it. And so you are taking energy away from your immune system, from your vitality, from your youthfulness, from your vibrancy, and replacing it with a fight or flight response that is causing you to drop into levels of disease in your body. Dis-ease is what it means directly. So your body energetically becomes off kilter. And if you're doing this to yourself over and over again, you are holding your state of consciousness at a level where you cannot be creative, productive, loving to yourself and others, successful. You're blocking avenues of abundance in your life. You're blocking so many wonderful things. So I'm telling you all this. I want you to understand the energetic consequences of holding guilt in your body. Now, let me tell you, the reason that guilt feels so bad to you is because you were not meant to hold it. Dear precious soul, you came into this body as a spiritual being having a human experience. There are certain experiences that you have that feel super bad to you, and that is because that emotion does not match what your inner being knows about you. This is what Abraham Hicks teaches, and I love repeating it to you guys. Your inner being has source within you, has spiritual light within you. You're a spiritual being. You have God energy in every cell of your body, and God energy is, do you know the emotion that God is? Love. 100% unconditional love. All that guilt that you've taken on is taught to you by society, by your parents, by school teachers, by everyone that's influenced you in your life. You were not born feeling guilty about anything. Think about a baby or a toddler. What do? They go towards what they want and they cry and push away what they don't want. They don't feel guilty about it. They don't sit and say, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. No, they are very clear what they want and what they don't want. That's how your innate, your inner being was built, was wired, to bring close to you those things that make you feel good, that you're curious about, and to push away from you that which does not match your alignment. Guilt and shame are two emotions that do not match your alignment as a spiritual being. That is why they feel so bad. That is why they are so contracting. That is why there is such a low level of consciousness that comes into your body when you are expanding them. Because what you're actually doing is contracting your energy field, contracting the essence, the vibrance of who you are. So what we want to do is teach you how to literally purposefully drop the guilt for good so that you can emanate at a state where you are meant to be as a spiritual being. The first thing to shifting this consciousness and refusing to carry guilt anymore is just to first recognize, where are you allowing it in? What is making you feel guilty? Although nothing can actually make you feel a certain way, you're actually making yourself feel a certain way as a reaction, because that's what you've taught yourself to do. So we're going to change this imprint, this narrative that is on you about taking guilt. You very likely, possibly learned it from your mom or your dad. You were taught to feel guilty because you watched them do it. So you learned this behavior that is counterintuitive to your own soul. Again, that is why it feels so bad, because the essence of you does not want to hold it. So let's refuse to hold it. But before we do, let's look at what you're carrying. What are you feeling guilty about? What people or experiences do you actually feel regret over? If you're feeling regret and guilt, it is 100% because you're looking backward. Your inner being is never looking backward, ever. Your inner being is always looking forward. It's always in the here and now and focused forward. It's not looking back and saying I should have or I shouldn't have. Because on your spiritual path, when you're going to higher frequencies of understanding, higher consciousness, you get to a point, and this is where I'm trying to guide you to, where you trust that all is unfolding in perfect timing. There are never any mistakes. There are no mistakes in relationships and experiences. You're always calling into your soul's journey certain experiences so that you grow. Not only even the painful ones, but especially the painful experiences, especially the perceived mistakes, because there are no such things as mistakes. Those are just a perception that you've been taught to do. But everything that you've perceived to have lost, or that you got wrong, or the money that you invested that isn't being returned to you, or the love that you lost, or whatever it is, each experience that you have had in your life was called to you on a soul contract level for you to experience so that you could make the choice to grow. Now, there's always a choice. Right now, you watching this video, there is always a choice whether or not you're going to continue to hold guilt in your spirit body, or whether you're going to move forward and refuse to hold that vibration. Because with each choice that each one of these relationships and experiences has given you, is the choice to rise above and to say, you know what, once I know better, I do better. That's a Maya Angelou quote. Once you know better, you do better. You can't judge, or you shouldn't judge, your past self, your past decisions with your current wisdom. You should not look back. It is a very big disservice to you in your growth, your evolution process, to judge your past self with your present wisdom. Because if you can take this mindset and really look at your past by saying, you know what, I wasn't where I am now. Like, now you know more because you've gotten more of a bird's eye view over the situation. You know how the stock market turned. You know how that business deal turned out. You know who that person really is now, and you didn't really know then. You learned more and you grew. You sharpened your gaze on that experience. When you were in that experience, you did the best you could based on the knowledge and feeling that you had at the time. 100% of the time. All of us are. All of us are doing the best we can in any moment with the knowledge, wisdom, and feeling that we have in that moment. So give yourself a break, and when you find yourself looking back with regret, say to yourself, I'm not going to judge my past decisions with my current wisdom because I know better now. And now that I know better, I'm going to choose to believe that that experience helped me to grow. And now I'm going to start right here and right now and do better. Now I'm about to give you some key tips to dropping the guilt for good, but before I give you those tips, if you really like this information and it's making you feel lighter and better, please like this video and go ahead and subscribe to my channel while you're here if you want to hear more leading edge content as it drops on YouTube. Back to the video. A key tip in letting go of the guilt over the past with all the relationships and all the stuff that's happened, this is something that I primarily work on with so many of my clients, so know that you're not alone. Most of my clients that are like high-end CEOs and entrepreneurs and perceivably very powerful people struggle with the exact thing, but when you have this breakthrough and you can learn how to shift the guilt into acceptance, trust, and self-love, you become limitless. And one of those things that's a shift in mindset that I want to bring you to is realizing that everybody's on their soul journey. Every single person that comes into your life is a player in your soul journey, and everybody else is on their soul journey. So that means that you're not responsible for anybody else but yourself. Very often when we look back or we're carrying guilt, maybe it's mom guilt, dad guilt, work guilt, whatever the guilt is, it's because we feel responsible for somebody else. We didn't do good enough. Maybe we weren't able to save them, or maybe someone passed away. This is a very strong thing that I go through with clients. They lose someone close to them and they carry all this guilt around that they should have been there, they could have done more. Precious, dear soul, that soul journey, that choice for them to exit this human body was their soul's choice. People are on their own evolutionary journey, and you literally, even though you're a player, you have nothing to do with those big moments in their life. That is a soul choice for them on a soul level that has nothing to do with your journey. You're only responsible for your soul journey. So if you can disengage yourself from this narrative that you've learned, that you've been taught, that you're responsible for everybody, therefore you should feel guilty for everything that happens with your coworkers or your mom or your kids. If you can let go of that, and by saying, reminding yourself with this mantra, everybody is on their own soul journey, I'm only responsible for mine. While of course acting in love and acting in care and moving through doing the best that you can in each now moment, but knowing that the outcomes are always out of your control. People are always going to be having experiences based on their soul evolutionary journey, and you can detach yourself from feeling responsible or guilty for whatever happens. And finally, as you're evolving as a spiritual being, go into a state of trust whenever you get into fear or guilt or any of those low vibrational feelings. If you can start repeating to yourself, everything works out exactly as it's supposed to, everything is working out for me. Everything that has happened has been in divine, sacred timing, even the really tough stuff, even the stuff that looked like relationship loss, money loss, all the hard stuff. It all is in sacred timing. Everything is collectively unfolding in a way that is helping the evolution, not only of each of us as individuals, but right now as we're going through the Great Awakening on the planet, collectively for each of us. And what we're reaching for is a life where we're free of the guilt, because you guys, guilt is like shackles on your hands. It holds you back. It's like carrying a big rotting backpack with you all the time. It is time for you to manage your energy field and your emotional field. Take it off. Go into a state of trust. Believe that everything is happening exactly the way that it should. And know, my dear precious soul, that everything that's meant for you is going to show up for you. Anything that's meant for you, you're not going to miss. You're going to know, because you're working on your soul evolution. You're connecting to your higher self. You're refusing to hold these low vibrations. You're working on bringing yourself back up to appreciating your life. And you're going to find those things that match your higher frequency. And one of the other ways, as a final note, that you can really, really drop the guilt is to continuously go back to a state of gratitude. Because when you're feeling gratitude, you're feeling appreciation, which means you're feeling love, love for life, love for all that's happened. And you have reached a state of self-mastery when you can look back in your life and actually feel gratitude for the experiences that you've had, because each loss, each thing that you think has gone wrong has actually been a stepping stone to refine you into the human being that you are today and the spiritual being that you're growing towards as you evolve. So continue to express gratitude to yourself, continue to express gratitude to your past, to people that have come across your path, because the more that you're doing that, the higher your vibration is going to rise and the more joy you're going to feel in your life. And that, my friend, is going to magnetize things that match it directly to you. And we want you to vibrate that high. So if this information really excited you and you realize, wow, I have power over my field of consciousness, and you want to know more because you're actually waking up, you're going through a spiritual awakening, I have a free 3-part audio series called The Trifecta of Transformation that shows you the 3 steps and walks you through and answers all of the questions about your awakening stage. The 3 steps are awaken, alchemize, and activate. And I'm going to take you on an even deeper journey as you spiritually wake up. So click the link below to grab your free series.